Hi everyone, and thanks for joining us today. I am Tim Overton from KESTO Document Solutions, and today I'm really excited to bring you a deep dive session into how Southwest Healthcare, or SWA, were able to use KESTO to build efficiencies in their workflow and the benefits they are seeing in their day-to-day activities. With me, I have Liz Bramich, Regional Financial Systems Manager, FMIS, from Southwest Healthcare, and we're going to run through how Southwest Healthcare and SWA were able to partner with KESTO and turn the challenges of manual invoice processing into an automated process that had significant benefits to their organisation. So welcome, Liz.
Thank you, Tim.
So Liz, before we talk about the solution provided, I'd like to go back to how Southwest Healthcare were previously processing invoices. Liz, can you please explain the previous Southwest Healthcare AP process?
I can, Tim. So back in 2011, we implemented a very basic scanning solution that involved producing a barcode sticker on the front of the first page of each invoice and running it through a dedicated scanner. So that required quite a bit of space in the department for the barcode printer and the scanner. And then there were quite a lot of manual processes to actually attach it to each and in every individual invoice in our financial management system. So whilst we fed it through in a batch process, it then required individual attachment process in our Oracle system.
So, Liz, after we discussed the pain point in the process being barcode printing, we also discussed other bottlenecks. What were they?
So my main point of pain was the fact that we did need to still have that manual attachment process, which was an added layer of workload for our accounts payable department. So there was a degree of resistance when we first started the barcoding system because they actually had to do more work in their processing day to day. And no doubt over time, the benefits realised as they found they didn't have to go to the filing cabinet and pull out invoices for any inquiries. But I was still very conscious of the fact that they were spending more time processing because of the extra steps for scanning. And I was hoping to try and automate that process and also eliminate the need for additional hardware if it was possible to use the multifunctional device that had the scanning capabilities already.
What about errors and risk management within that process?
So within that process, we already had in place an independent double checking of data entry within another team, quite independent to accounts payable. With fresh eyes, we would send our batches down to a out-of-hours weekend reception area, and they would check some of the essential data elements, including invoice number, amount, ABN, and supplier name. And also, in addition to that, our Oracle system has controls within it as it's matching purchase order lines. It has the ability to put invoices on hold. We had price variance tolerances we could set so that if a price was over a certain acceptable tolerance, it would go on hold. It would go on hold if quantities were not received or there was some distribution hold in the data entry of the invoice.
So after talking with Liz about SWH's current process, discussion turned to how we, KESTO, could assist. Liz, what was your initial requirement to improve the process we've just talked about?
So at the first point of discussion, my question was, can we eliminate the need to have a barcode process? And can we eliminate the need to have, there were 7 keystrokes and 3 manual processes in the process of attaching each image to our Oracle invoice.
So after a discovery phase was undertaken, Kyocera's proposal was to automate the AP process further. Can you explain what was suggested?
I can, Tim. Yes, I remember at the time my objective, looking back, it was quite minimal really, and then it became very obvious to us all that the potential of the automation was much larger than envisaged, and there was an opportunity to automate the entire invoice processing, including the matching of purchase order lines. There was also capability to process non-purchase order invoices with the same sort of default accounting coding already available in Oracle, but with added flexibility of mixing and matching, because we've got multiple components of our accounting code. There was an opportunity to fix one of those accounting codes and make the other one variable. Also, we had quite a lot of processing for payments that weren't invoice related. So we had a payment request form. So we then had a discussion about how could we computerise that payment request form, so all the components entered could be immediately captured very accurately through a scanning solution. Another, probably the second most important of my objectives of my initial request and discussions with you was in regard to eliminating the need to print off the multitude of purchase order invoices that we're now receiving, and then the ability to extract the data and push it into Oracle.
It was from these initial discussions and the requirements of SWH and more broadly SWA members that KESTO came to be. So what is KESTO? KESTO stands for Kyocera's Enhanced Scan to Oracle. Now I'd like to talk to you, Liz, about the implementation process. Can you please explain the implementation process of the solution from your point of view?
So at the time, Tim, we had a multifunctional Kyocera device sitting in our accounts payable area, and all that was needed was to add several additional icons, and they included high priority scanning. So I could then start to see that we could control our workflow and prioritise the more immediate invoices that needed to be processed. We could easily batch our invoices and use 2 different icons for multi and single page invoices. And initially, Southwest Healthcare, which is the larger of the agencies in the Southwest, worked on implementing our scanning for both purchase order and non-purchase order invoices. Then we added the 4 other large regional health services that were expressing a desire to scan. 2 of those already had a rudimentary scanning process. They didn't even have the barcode. It was a very manual process to scan and then navigate to a folder where they had to individually attach, and that wasn't even including a wand, barcode wand that we had in our initial solution. So they were all very excited because they knew they couldn't afford a solution on their own, and KESTO offered us an ability to network a solution, make it available to the smaller agencies, and of course that enabled us to cost share and provide a sustainable solution where Southwest Healthcare could take the lead in becoming the general system administrator. We had access to all their invoice pathways and assist in training them and identifying any improvements based on our own experience, and also liaise with your support team more easily through the one view of the system.
During development, Liz, did you have any special requests, and how was it accepted by the KESTO development team?
Well, Tim, as you probably recall, I had quite a few special requests and, you know, some of them were quite challenging, I'm sure, but nothing ever seemed too much trouble, and I can list off an endless number of those if you'd like me to, such as the need to be able to easily mark an invoice for immediate payment before it even got to Oracle. So it assured us that we then didn't have to search for it in Oracle and do any further processing. So that was a huge advantage. We also wanted to improve our GST controls and the surrounding issues that result from that, which was successful. We wanted to improve our bank account validation. So as you know, a lot of invoices these days have bank account information on them. So we've used that to build a verification flag in the system to ensure that we've got the bank details on the invoice are matched from our Oracle system. The other two really additional features that have proved very, very beneficial. We had a separate engineering and maintenance order system, so it was off the shelf, nothing to do with Oracle, but we've been able to put through and KESTO kindly developed a system where we could use the PO from that, and that's the first page and the invoice is the second page, and all the data is captured. So there is very little manual intervention, and it's a very high volume of orders below 2,500, so something like 1,000 a month go through that. But it's just recognised as a different type of document to the normal tax invoices that are put through KESTO. And the other recent feature that was added was the creation of unique and meaningful invoice numbers for those payments that we're making, such as rates notices that don't have a specific tax invoice number. And also we'll be using a stamp to mark a high volume number of ambulance invoices that only use a mixture of 3 or 4 codes, and KESTO captures that stamp and therefore automates the accounting allocation process. And they did the same for freight costs, which default to a specified code.
So any software solution is only as good as the benefits it derives for a customer. Liz, can you outline the benefits introduced in this process?
So in the processing in our Southwest region, we have a fairly centralised approach, and that meant that a lot of invoices were being delivered to outlying warehouses and then needed to be sent into the central Warrnambool accounts payable department, which obviously results in delays and at times the tracking of those invoices was quite difficult. So this solution enabled remote sites to enter and scan the invoices at their site and eliminate the need to travel and courier documents around. Also, it enabled our supply department to review invoices within their own purchasing module through the scanning paperclip to review holds and clear holds without any paper invoices needing to be held in supply department and then sent back to accounts payable. Also, we did find our, surprisingly, a number of ABN verification issues. So we now know that we're 100% compliant with our ABNs, and our error rate of paying the wrong supplier has been eliminated. It just can't happen anymore because we've got the right ABN verification in place. And also it's reduced the amount of invoices that aren't matched to a purchase order because it's capturing that purchase order that's printed on the invoice that a manual process may not notice because the layout of invoices is so diverse that it is quite challenging for manual processing to always pick up that there's a purchase order. We've also improved our GST errors and enhanced our bank verification before closing the invoice for processing into Oracle.
Thanks, Liz. What about the ROI of KESTO? Give us some examples.
So the rate of return for KESTO has been a gradual achievement. We have been able to reduce our payables manager down to a 9-day fortnight. He's been able to keep on top of the workload, which in itself is a huge staff health issue when people are feeling overwhelmed. So the whole atmosphere of the accounts payable department has improved, and also we've been able to avoid needing to expand our workload. When I travel around the state, which I help support 65 agencies that use Oracle, you see a huge number of staff working in the accounts payable areas still, and they often comment on the increasing workload that they are now dealing with. And we've been able to avoid that and actually reduce our staffing. And also the other advantage is that the leave coverage becomes more achievable because we have got staff in 4 other areas that know exactly the same system as us. They can actually do our processing remotely, remove the need for travel, and in turn our processing of invoices improves and the number of suppliers that are chasing payment reduces, which has a flow-on effect of reducing workload and stress in that department.
Liz, what is the percentage of scanning? In other words, how many are automatically matched invoices, and what is the reduction in invoice processing time now?
So now we've got the credit note enhancement that we recently arranged through your team. We're now able to scan 100% of our documents, and we estimate that overall since 2016 we've been able to reduce our processing time by at least 40%. And we're processing over 80,000 invoices between the agencies using the solution. And even though we have a high rate of PO processing, and we also have a high rate of electronic trading. So 65% of our purchase order lines are electronic and actually don't have a manual tax invoice to process. KESTO handles all the other processing that's not related to our electronic trading, and yet we were still able to justify investing in KESTO with a rate of return of under 2 years. So I think the other benefit is our FMI system does struggle at times with performance issues and IT issues. So when that system's down, we are still able to scan and verify the invoices and have them sitting ready, waiting. So when the system's back online, we're able to press a button and shift them into Oracle. So that's paid dividends on many occasions where accounts payable would otherwise have been sitting twiddling their thumbs waiting for the finance system to come back up.
So, Liz, we're currently talking at an interesting time. COVID-19 is present. Has COVID-19 presented any challenges to AP?
No, it hasn't, Tim. In fact, quite the reverse, because it's just crystallised the benefits of what we already had with KESTO. We've got staff that are able to work from home. We've set them up with 2 screens, and they're getting their invoices emailed in as normal, and they can just push them into KESTO through that emailed workflow, or they can wait for the team. We have skeleton staff working on site. They're responsible for opening the mail and sorting and pushing the invoices through the scanner, and then our remote staff can simply log in as though they were in the office and work through verifying the invoices and importing them into Oracle. Also, our business unit managers still have full visibility of their profit and loss. So we already had this feature in our reporting tool where they can view these images and keep a close eye on their expenses even when they're working remotely. Or if they're on site, it's reduced the staff contact. So they don't need to visit payable staff and wait for responses to queries, because they've got the images within the reporting tool to view any queries on payments or invoices processed through their cost centre.
Often introducing new software that automates much of a process leads to a realisation by a client that there are more bottlenecks that they would like to address. So Liz, let's talk now about future development requirements. Is the system complete, or do you plan any further development, Liz?
The KESTO project, in my mind, has always had 2 phases, and we talked about this from the outset, and you very sensibly advised that, don't aim for the panacea immediately. It needs to be a gradual development and an understanding of the workflows. So we broke it up into 2 parts, where we've had phase 1 for 2.5 years. We've fine-tuned that as I reeled off a lot of the additional enhancements we've been able to develop, have further streamlined it, and now we've got staff wanting more improvements. So any of the concerns on their part at the start of this process have now been addressed, and they're on board and they're driving the change, which makes, as you know, change management very, very simple. And so apart from the credit note implementation we've referred to earlier in this discussion, we want to become 100% paperless. And our audit recommendations also are seeking an electronic signature process so that we can clearly see who has signed off on the invoices. And we want to be able to track every single invoice from the moment it enters our department. We want to be able to scan it immediately and not wait for those non-purchase order type invoices to come back from the department heads approved and coded. So our next phase has been scoped, and we're working with other alliances in Victoria to develop a shared approach to implement that. And the concept is basically to be able to scan the invoice and be able to identify who has to approve it, send it through, have reminders built into the system if it's not coming back in a timely manner. And we will then have 100% paperless. So any invoice that comes in by email will not be printed, and we will have full visibility of who assigned the invoice and where it is sitting in the system at any point in time. We are also able to support other Vic Health agencies in this solution because we have a Oracle Level 1 support team that understands this system, and they can provide the guidance and checklist to help in the pre-work and change management of implementing the solution. And they can also come and visit our agency to see KESTO working firsthand.
Fantastic. We've now come to the end of our session, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank Liz for her time in helping everyone understand the real benefits that KESTO can bring the healthcare sector. If anyone does have any additional questions about what we've covered today, or would like to discuss further how a partnership with Kyocera can benefit their own work environments, I would be more than happy to help out. Get in touch with us. Thank you very much.